Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please?
Like and subscribe.
Welcome to the Sit, Walk, Work podcast, a show about paying attention. My name is Dominic and I'm your host, and today is a guided meditation. And what you can expect is that the practice will open up with a brief recap, followed by the actual practice itself. If you find today's episode valuable, please share with your friends and family, and feel free to leave a review wherever you listen to podcasts. The show will begin after the following chimes. Today with a little bit of a story about resistance and how we can take an attitude towards dealing with it a little bit differently than we might in other places and times in our life. And then we opened up to the breath, to just following the breath as it came and went in and out, played with the pauses in the breath, felt what that might feel like for some. Then we expanded the breath a bit wider to include the body and the sensations of the body, all the while taking note of the perspectives that we were holding as we kind of moved through our journey of meditation. And that is really a lot of what meditation is. It's shaping or noticing the perspectives that we're holding from moment to moment that change because of how we feel or because of quality of our thinking. And so then we moved from the body into the thoughts and gave that space to kind of deal with any resistance, because in every practice, there's something kind of working against our desire to focus or to hold true to whatever intention we came in with. And then from that, we kind of put the breath in some specific locations, right? We played a little bit with putting it into any sensations coming up in the body, and then kind of wrapped it all up with a little bit of gratitude, kind of bringing in that perspective at the end. I invite you to close the eyes, let the hands rest somewhere where they won't kind of fidget. I'm going to ask you to kind of sit and be a good watcher to what is happening in your experience today. It sounds easy on the surface, or simple, I should say. As one of my teachers says, oftentimes in yoga and meditation, things are very simple, but not easy. And I feel like that's very true for this practice. Because really, we're just sitting and observing. Now, there's an attitude or a way that I'm going to ask you to consider your observation today. And that is to consider doing it with an intention of being kind and friendly and curious about what you see as you go through your experience. And to come to yourself with this attitude is as much a part of the practice as the actual observation of what's happening. So take that into consideration and just kind of notice what you're feeling in this moment. Now, that can be a really broad statement, from what you're physically feeling in your body to the quality or the types of thoughts you might be having in this moment, to the way your breath is moving in and moving out. And the nice thing about this practice is there's not a wrong way to do what you're doing. There's only what's happening right now in the moment. And so as you're kind of sitting with and taking note of what's going on, I'd like to share a little story I read this morning in one of the books that I'm reading. Um, it's actually out of a book by Bruce Lee, and it says when back in ancient times, when people wanted to kill a bear, they would hang a heavy log over a bowl of honey. The bear would push the log away to get to the bowl of honey, and then the log would come back and it would hit the bear while he was trying to eat the honey. So the bear would push the log away further, harder, with a little more force. And the log in turn would return and hit him with a little more force. And that cycle continued until the bear eventually died. And I bring that story to meditation tonight because that's often how we treat our mind. We try to bully it into shape, make it do what we say, and we push harder against the resistance. And then the resistance comes back harder against us. And so, as we work our way through practice, be mindful of how you treat that resistance you're going to encounter. Begin to let your attention start to notice a little more closely how you're breathing. Really get kind of familiar with your pattern of breath. Feeling the in breath, feeling the out breath. There's a couple ways I like to think about following our breath pattern. One is from start to finish. So notice where your inhale starts and follow it through its complete cycle of in and out breath. As you watch the breath, you can start to get a sense for how the pace of it, how it's moving through you. You may notice if this is your first time or it's been a while since you've sat with the breath, it could be easy for the mind to slip away, to get pulled into some other part of experience that's happening. Maybe that's a stream of thinking that's kind of blocking your focus ability, or an ambient sound, or this is how your body physically feels today. If you find your attention slips off of the breath into any of those other things, simply notice it and return and start over again with watching your breath. You might notice that your breath can kind of move in this continuous stream, very similar to the way your thoughts can move, right? Just the in breath happens, the out breath happens, the in breath happens, and kind of just the cycle repeats. But there's also opportunities for you to find the hidden parts that are in your breath, the pauses that exist at the top and the bottom of the breath, that when that continuous stream of breathing is happening are often overlooked. So if it feels safe to you, the next time you take a breath in, pause at the top of that breath for a few seconds. Not long enough to create discomfort, but just long enough to notice what happens when you hold the breath at the peak of the inhale. And you let it go and slip back into the continuous flow of your breath. Each way we observe the breath and notice its various changing patterns is us taking a new perspective on something that is continuously happening all the time. And just as I asked you to kind of pause at the peak of your inhale, see what it's like to feel its opposite and pause at the descent of your exhale. So, on your next breath, when you breathe out, kind of pause at the bottom of the breath for just a few seconds so you can feel the innate stillness that is the undercurrent of each moment before slipping back into your breathing rhythm. Throughout practice, there is this constant shift of perspectives that you're taking on between your higher and your lower self. This dance from moment to moment that's taking place. Even as you've been observing your breath, you still have the stream of thoughts and commentary kind of in the background, being supportive or not supportive, representing the perspective of your higher or your lower self. And rather than choose a side, simply be aware of it and allow it to shift and change in the way that your breath would. The breath is always has been kind of moving and shaping you in each inhale and each exhale. So if you haven't already, start to feel the breath. Feel your belly rising, feel your contraction of your stomach muscles on the exhale. This body that houses our conscious nature. Also, with it comes a plethora of sensations. So maybe your body's been talking to you through practice today in the form of nervous energy or maybe some type of chronic sensation or discomfort that is present. As you feel what's happening in your body, remember to not meet those things with resistance. Instead, take a softer touch. And as you've been feeling your breath and any other body sensations that are present, notice that your mind can kind of be moved from one area of the body to the next, depending on what's present. But I'd also ask you to consider what's not present. Where do you not feel sensation in comparison to the sensations that are kind of showing up? You can shift and move your attention into any space in the body that feels natural and good to you. And then let the beam of your attention rest in that location. And notice how that shifts the perspective of this moment. If you kind of held your attention in one specific location in the body, begin to soften it. Let it be broad, let it be wide again. Meditation shows us that no matter what's arising, there's only right now and the experience of right now. Everything that you've done to this point would now be considered the past. And what's happening in the now will in turn affect what happens in the future. So I want you to notice that if you encountered any type of resistance in your practice to up to this point, give it space to enter the practice now, meaning give your attention to maybe something that has been tugging at you throughout the practice, whether that's the way your body felt in an area or a particular pattern of thinking. And as you welcome it to the stage, take it a little at a time. You don't have to feel the bulk of it, but just be opening to being curious about what's showing up. Begin to let your attention rest back into the breath and into the body as we soften it from the focus of the thoughts and of the mind, place it back into the things we feel, the more tangible items. Today, we've played with the idea of letting your perspective shift to look at the now from the lens of your breath and your body and your mind with narrow and wide attention. These tools is how you can begin to sit with and influence to some degree the experiences that you're having from moment to moment. In the last few minutes of practice, let your attention shift to the things in your life that which you're most grateful for. No matter how small or large those things are, they only need to be of value to you, to include any kindness or generosity that you have personally shared with others, with the spirit of allowing those into your field of perspective, and then feeling how it feels as you breathe that in, where it's a sensation in your body. Adding any colors or sounds or anything that makes the image more vivid and alive to you. as we begin to close down practice, maybe take 2 or 3 breaths, kind of feel those as they come in and come out before blinking your eyes open and bringing this moment to a close. Thank you for listening to today's episode. I invite you to check out my Substack, where we are building a community of like minded individuals to discuss all topics related to the idea of paying attention. I hope to see you there. But until then, with Metta, may you be well.
Like and subscribe.